Okay. Good morning. Good morning, everyone. Today, we're starting a little bit early today. Now that we're getting into Elul and the Sukkah season has begun, I'm busy with the season. This one we're not here yet. They're showing up hopefully in the next week or so, 2 weeks. I'll have to get done. So I'm starting my day a little bit earlier. And we'll see if we'll see if we're gonna be doing this around this time every day going forward. We'll see. Anyways, today's shir is the Fush Lema Yisrael ben Racha Leah Racha Bas Chasel Zoda Racha Eliana Bas Yav Racha Aram Yisrael ben Risha Chai Bas Dovabela Fush Lema Bas Shar Chali Yisrael, and the Shefer Bracha Bas Lecha B'Tzvi Noach ben Bracha Racha Leah, and the Zir Bekaru for Shmuel David ben Hind Miriam and Tzvi ben Chana. If anyone listening out there is interested in sponsoring a shir, please reach out to me. I think the email address is kolneshama1, that's KOLNESHAMA1 @gmail.com. We are looking for sponsors for Seder Kachim, which is coming up in just 2.5 weeks. The siyum for this Seder is going to be Shabbos, September 5th. It will not be recorded. I apologize. And we're starting Kachim on Sunday, September 6th. First day Slichas. Baruch Hashem. Okay, here we go. The last Perek of Eduyos. I think this was a fascinating Masechta. Well, it's much different from all the other ones that we had in Shas. But okay, here we go. Now we're going to hear from with the first. This Mishnah is talking about nevela, which is the carcass of a non-kosher animal, or a kosher animal that died without shechita. That's called nevela. So, in addition to the meat being to be eaten, the meat of a nevela is also tummy, and the blood of a nevela is also it is not the same. It's not at the same status as the meat. So let's go. Perek Mishnah Aleph. Hey, Rabbi Yeshua ben Beseira al dam nevela shehu tahor. Rabbi Yeshua ben Beseira testified that the blood of nevelas is tahor. In comparison to the meat, the blood is tahor, but the meat is tameh. The meat of a nevela is tameh, even if it measures only a kazayas. The blood of a nevela is not tameh unless it measures a revius, which is much larger than a kazayas. Okay, now the second edus. Hey, Rabbi Shimon ben Beseira. I guess they were brothers. One was Yeshua ben Beseira, one was Shimon ben Beseira. They must have been brothers. Al Efer Chatas. Shimon ben Beseira testified about the ashes of the paraduma that are in a single kli, a single vessel. Shanaga Tami ben Miksasu Shatime Eskulo. If a Tami person touched some of them, even just one piece of ash, he makes all of them tameh, because the kli combines them into one entity. So touching some of them is like touching all of them. If you put the ashes all into a container, then they're all. If you touch some of them on top, then they all become tameh. Hostif Rabbi Akiva ala solis lakatoris levona v'agacholim. Rabbi Akiva added regarding pieces of a substance that's kedusha that are in one vessel, such as the fine flour of mincha offerings. The korban mincha is all made out of flour, so it's very, very fine. the incense, the ketores, the levona, and all the coals that were taken from the mizbeach. They're all small particles. Shenaga tful yom excessive shepasul es kulam. That even if a tful yom touches some of them, he disqualifies all of them. So if they're all in like one pile or they're all in one bowl, whatever, and you touch some of them, and the whole thing becomes tummy. Parenthetically, I was learning this morning about challah. That this is from the Rambam. It's nothing to do with this, but we're talking about the conjoining thing about particles that touch each other. That the mitzvah challah is from dough that is kneaded, right? Not from flour. Flour itself, that each little particle of flour is separate one to the other, but they combine. Once they're combined with water, then they create like a unified dough. It's only once you have that unity that they challah from that, which is like a symbol of Klal Yisrael being united. That's what you take the Rambam. Anyways, Mishnah Beis. Getting back on topic over here. We learned yesterday that Nechuni ben Gogoda, he testified that if an orphan minor, the Bas Yisrael, is married al pi derabanan to a kohen, that she can eat truma derabanan. She can't eat truma deraisa. She can eat truma derabanan. So let's go. Hey, Rabbi Yehuda ben Bava, Rabbi Yehuda Kohen al Katana Bas Yisrael Shnisis LaKohen. Rabbi Yehuda ben Bava and Rabbi Yehuda HaKohen, they testified about an orphan minor, Bas Yisrael, who was married to a Kohen. He al chelas b'truma kevan shenichnas l'chuppah, that she can eat truma derabanan as soon as she enters the chuppah, af al pi shelo nivla, even though she has not yet had bia with her husband. The Tanoim, so he said yesterday that she could only have the Truma Derabanan only after she had bia, but the Tanoim of our Mishnah, they're coming to clarify that Truma can be eaten after chuppah, even before she had bia, the night of the wedding. Which is really a technicality, because like the whole point of a yichud room is so that they can go in and they can have bia during that time. So it's being kones right away. Not that, who knows what goes on in everyone's yichud room. I mean, but I think the minhag is that they go in and they're meyachid, but they're not. I mean, you don't know because no one's in there. I mean, maybe some do, some don't. But the point is that according to the Tanoim, she can eat truma right after the chuppah. Let's go on. Hey, Rabbi Yossi Yaakov, Rabbi Zachariah ben Akatzav al Tinokas shehurhana be'Ashkelon. Rabbi Yossi the Kohen, Rabbi Zachariah ben Akatzav, testified about an incident in which witnesses testified that a young girl had been handed over to idolaters in Ashkelon as a guarantee for a debt that was owed to them. So they're testifying about other testimony. After she returned home, her family distanced her. They would not allow her to marry a Kohen of the family because they presumed that the idolaters had violated her. However, her witnesses, the ones who testified that she had been handed over, they also testified that she had not been alone with her captors and that she had not been violated by them. Nevertheless, her family did not believe them, because those witnesses were not qualified to testify. For example, let's say they were slaves. They can't take their testimony. So Chachamim said to them, wait a second. If you believe these witnesses when they said that she was handed over to the Odei Avodah Zarah, Minu Shalo Nister Shalo Nitma, that believed them when they said that she was not alone with them and that she was not violated. And if you do not believe that if you did not believe them when they said that she was not alone with them and that she was not violated, and do not believe them when they said she was handed over to them in the first place. Either way, she's permitted to marry the Kohen. You can't pick and choose which side of this situation you want to believe these people. If they're possible edus, and the possible edus on both sides, not just on one of them. So either you believe them that she was handed over and that they were and that she was not violated, or you do not believe them and she's still mutter to the Kohen. Mishnah Gimel. Okay, so we're talking about a chalal now, right? So we know that if a Kohen marries, a Kohen is not allowed to marry a gerusha or chalitza, a divorced woman or someone who had chalitza. And if the Kohen does marry her, regardless, disregarding the halacha that he can't, if he does marry her, or even if he doesn't marry her, but he has a child with her, and the child is not a Kohen, the child is a chalal. He's puzzled from the kahuna, and this affects his future generations. He's the son of the grandson is also a chalal. So now, if a chalal then has bia with a woman, he makes her puzzle to marry a Kohen. Then you have sveikus of savik chalal. So let's see. This is Mishnah Gimel. Hey, Rabbi Yehuda ben Beseira al Amanas Isa shehi keshera lekahuna. Rabbi Yeshua and Rabbi Yehuda ben Beseira. Once again, these are brothers, I believe. Rabbi Yeshua and Rabbi Yehuda. No, Rabbi Yeshua. One second. We have before you Rabbi Yeshua ben Beseira and Shimon ben Beseira, and now you have Yehuda ben Beseira. So I guess now there are three brothers who are the sons of Beseira. So for Yeshua, Yehuda, and Shimon. Okay, cool. So they testified about the widow of a mixed family. That the widow had been married to a member of a family that included a possible chalom. They testified that she is allowed to marry into the kahuna, although there's a chance that her dead husband was the possible chalal of the family, which would make her usher to the kahuna. She is in fact allowed to marry a Kohen. This is because there are two sveikas over here. The first one is it's unknown whether her husband was the possible chalal. And the second one is that even if he was, it's unknown whether he was truly a chalal. So the general rule, in case of a double doubt, is to rule leniently, and the widow is allowed to marry a chalal. So let's just go. Okay, we're talking about a case over here where there's a possible chalal in the family, but they're not sure who it is. So you call that a mixed family, because it contains a mixture of different categories of people. So that's what we're talking about over here. Okay, so now the Tanaim, these Tanaim, Rabbi Yeshua and Rabbi Yehuda ben Beseira, both of them ben Beseira, they they gave edus about such a family. Isa kashira, that they also testified that a mixed family, mixed being Isa, because the dough is mixed, right? Isa kashira, that the mixed family is proper. That although a possible chalal is part of the family, it should still conduct itself like any family of proper lineage. The tame with a tire, the rachav with a karev, which means that before a woman marries into the family, you must look into her background to find out whether she is permitted or forbidden, whether it ought to distance her from marrying into the family or from bringing her near. You got to do the due diligence. You have to assume that it's a kosher family, and once the family is possible, then it's a different story. So, Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel, Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel said to Yeshua and Rabbi Yehuda, the sons of Beseira, Kibanu Edusechem, Duschen. We accept your testimony. We believe that this is what you heard from the Chachamim of the early generation. Says she goes to Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai, Shlo lahoshti batei dinin al kach. But what can we do about it now? What can we do about it now that Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai has decreed not to let the courts meet for this purpose? Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai, he asked the courts to allow a widow of a mixed family to marry into the kahuna. Furthermore, the reality is that even if a court would rule about such a widow, the Kohanim will listen to you only to distance themselves from her. But they will not listen to you to bring themselves close to her. So if the court would rule that she's permitted, they would disregard the court's ruling anyways. And they did this in order to elevate the kedusha of the kahuna. So, Mishnah Dalet. So to keep the kedusha of the kahuna intact, the Kohanim refused to marry a widow from a mixed family. Once the Kohanim accepted this restriction upon themselves, Yochanan ben Zakkai recognized it as a valid practice, and he made a gezerah that no court should rule that such a woman is permitted to them. The Kohanim take it upon themselves to elevate the kedusha, and he was masking to it. So nothing that the courts can do about it. Mishnah Daled. Hey, Rabbi Yossi ben Yoez ish shareda al ayel kamsa dachan. Rabbi Yossi ben Yoez, the leader of Sreda, testified about the isle grasshopper that it is kosher. Okay, fine. Interesting. Okay, is it specifically that type of grasshopper that's kosher? Yeah, there are 4 species of grasshoppers that are kosher. And the ayal is one of them. And he testified about the liquids of the butchering place in the Beis Hamikdash, such as the blood of the karbanos that were shechted there and the water that they used to rinse their flesh, the inan dachyan, that they are tahor. They cannot become tamei because liquids become tamei only under the din derabanan. And the Chachamim did not impose this restriction in the Beis Hamikdash, or it could lead to the disqualification of many Kodesh things. Under Torah law, liquids cannot become tamei, but the Chachamim put in that din. So the 7 liquids of Yad Shach Adam, they're only tamei. They can only become tamei of which is interesting. Uh, with the Yikra, the Misa Ishtav, and he testified that one who definitely touched a corpse in public is Tameh. This was to imply that if there's a doubt whether someone touched a mace in his rabbim, that he is tahor. What's going on here? Hold on a second. So what? I'm sorry. That he testified that one who definitely touched a mace in Rosh Hashanah is tamei. Someone who has a doubt whether someone touched the mace there is tar. Maybe he touched me. He didn't touch. Not sure. So he's still tar. But the Chamim Karula Yossi Shiraya. However, they're not happy with him. They called him Yossi the permissive one, because he mastered 3 things that were previously usher, and they weren't happy about that. He was too makel. Mishnah Hey, Rabbi Akiva Mishum Nechemya Ish Beis Deli. This case over here regards a woman whose husband went overseas and the report came back that he died over there. So Rabbi Akiva testified in the name of Nechemya, who the leader of Beis Deli, that we allow a woman whose husband went overseas to remarry based on the edus of one witness who came and said that her husband died. So even though 2 witnesses, which you learned this yesterday and previously, we usually need two edim to testify about marital status, but over here the Chachamim goes there that one witness is enough so that the woman could remarry without an issue. Who knows if it's quite likely that you have cases where you only have 1 witness and don't have 2, and you want this one to get remarried. So they made a special circumstance here, special exception. The next edus was about Tuma in the Beis Hamikdash. Hey, Rabbi Yeshua alat sama shenimsu b'dir eitzim. Yeshua gave the following edus about human bones that were found in the woodshed of the Beis Hamikdash. The Chachamim said that it's enough to collect each bone that was found. There was no need to search for more. But I call tahor, and anything that was in the woodshed before the bones were removed is tahor, because there's a matter of doubt whether those things receive tumah from the bones, and the doubt regarding tumah in a public place is treated leniently. Okay, moving along. Mishnah Vav. Amar Rabbi Lezer. Rabbi Lezer said, "Shemati kishayibonim beheichal." I heard from my teachers that when the Chachamim returned from Bavel, they were building the Beis Hamikdash Hasheni. Osim kilaim beheichal v'klaim lazaros. They made curtains for the ulam, for the sanctuary, and curtains for the courtyards, which was around the perimeter. When they began building the second Beis Hamikdash, they put up curtains where the walls would be built later. The temporary setup. This made it possible to sanctify the area immediately and begin bringing karbanos. So the curtains for the ulam, for the actual bias part, And the curtains for the courtyards were the same, except that in the case of the sanctuary, the curtains were hung just within the place where the walls would stand, and the builders built the wall on the outside of the curtains so that they would not enter into the sanctuary. It'll be a zara, but in the case of the courtyard, the curtains were hung just outside the place where the walls would stand, and they built the walls on the inner side of the curtains. Rabbi Yeshua said, "Shemati Shema Krivin Afal Pish Ein Bias." I heard from my teachers that we may bring karbanos on the mizbeach, even though there is no bais midrash at all, not even curtains around the area of the sanctuary. And we may eat karbanos of greater sanctity, the kachim, which must be eaten in the azara of the Beis Hamikdash on the side of the courtyard, even though there are no curtains around it. Kachim kalim sheni afa and choma, and we can even eat the karbanos of a lower kedusha, kachim kalim, and we keep ma'aseh sheni, which must be eaten in Yerushalayim, in the area of Yerushalayim, even though there is no wall around it. That's because the first sanctification of the Beis Hamikdash and Yerushalayim back in the times of Shlomo HaMelech that took effect not only for that time, for the first Beis Hamikdash time, but it also took effect for the future after the Beis Hamikdash was destroyed. Since these areas remained kadosh after the Beis Hamikdash, at the first Beis Hamikdash was destroyed, no new kedusha was required for the second Beis Hamikdash. Therefore, the karbanos could be brought in that area before any walls or other petitions were put up. Yeah. Okay. And on that note, we turn to Eliyahu Hanavi. Amar Rabbi Yush, this Mishnah Zayin, the last Mishnah in this Masechta. Amar Rabbi Yeshua said, "Mekubal ani Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai." I received this teaching from Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai. Sheshama mirabba halchal who heard it from his rabbi, and who then heard it from his teacher, and so on, as halacha that was taught to Moshe from Har Sinai. Ain't Eliyahu that Eliyahu will not come to declare that a family is asur or mutter, or to distance a family from the main community, or to bring it closer to the main community. Meaning that if a family assumed to be mutter is actually forbidden, he will not reveal that it is forbidden in order to distance them from the main community. And if the family is assumed to be asur, it's actually permitted, he's not going to reveal that. Rather, he will come to distance those families that were known to be asur, but who have been drawn near by force. Meaning powerful people had to force the community to accept these families. And to draw near those families that were known to be permitted, but were distanced by force. So he's going to publicize that the family is permitted, and therefore bring it back into the community. But not all the families, only some of them. So Yeshua continues, and he gives some examples. Mishpachas beis Sarifa Haisa be'eva Yarden, a family by the name of Sarifa, which was known to be mutter, was located about on the eastern bank of the Jordan, the Eva Yarden. Erichaka bat Ben Sion Bizroa. And Ben Sion, who was a very powerful person in that time, distanced it by force. He falsely proclaimed that the family was Asur, and thereby prevented its members from marrying other Jews. And there was another family there on the east bank of the Jordan, which was known to be Asur. Karva Ben Sion Bizroa, and Ben Sion drew it near by force. He falsely proclaimed that the family was permitted, and thereby caused its members to illegally marry other Jews. Kegon Elu Eliyahu Baal the Tami the Tarev the Rachel the Karev. Families such as these, Elijah will come. He will come to treat as forbidden or permitted, to distance them or to draw them near according to their true status. I don't know what's going on there. I feel like kind of nervous, but okay. Rabbi Yehuda says, the Karev al Rachik, that Eliyahu will indeed come to draw near families that were known to be permitted and had been distanced by force, but not to distance families that were known to be usher and have been drawn near by force. Once a family has been drawn near, then he will not distance it, although it's actually a forbidden family. Rabbi Shimon says, that he will come to reconcile the differences of opinions between all the Chachamim. And then the fourth opinion says, the Chachamim say, lo the Rachik, lo the Karev, he will not come to distance families or to draw them near. Rather, he's coming to make peace in the world. That his only job is to make peace in the world, to stop the nations from persecuting Klal Yisrael. To which the Mishnah concludes with the famous pasuk that we read on Shabbos HaGadosh. Shneimar, Hinei Anochi Shaliach Lachem Es Eliyahu Hanavi, V'heishiv Le'avos Abanim Le'banim Alavosam. As it says in the pasuk in Malachi, behold, I send you Elijah the prophet. He will reconcile the hearts of fathers to sons, and the sons and the hearts of sons to the fathers. According to Yeshua, he will reconcile the hearts of fathers to sons, means that Eliyahu will identify the descendants of those who were forcefully removed from the community or forcefully accepted or forcefully permitted into the community. According to Yehuda, he's going to deal only with the descendants of those who were forcibly removed from the community. And according to Shimon, the pasuk means that he's going to solve the machlokas between teachers and students, between fathers and sons. And according to the Chachamim, it means that the fathers and sons will live together in peace. Maseches Eduyos, and we'll continue tomorrow with Maseches Avodah Zarah. And in just a little bit more than 2 weeks, we're wrapping up this Seder. Have a wonderful day. And I apologize for all the nervousness and stuttering today. I don't know what was going on with me, but it's a little. So be it. Have a wonderful day, everyone. Kol Tov.